Hello and welcome to Myth Refreshed, the podcast, where I invite you to meet some of the amazing guests that are going to be gracing the stage on March the 18th at the Omnibus Theatre in Clapham. Tickets are available now. It is an evening which will cross cultures and artistic disciplines to resurrect the power of myth and to reawaken the hero in you. I would like to introduce you to our guest, Seb Kaysien. Hello, Seb. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Sunshine.
Okay, so what do you do? What's your discipline, dude?
So I'm a producer, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, and mix engineer. I have also recently discovered that I have good kind of sort of internal vision to create art as well, which is something that I've recently discovered, which is part of this journey and transition that I'm on.
So it's not just music, you do visual art as well?
I do.
Come a bit closer to the microphone, Darren, just so we can hear you.
I'm a bit closer to the microphone.
I know, but then you can do that very well.
Very wide things going on there. Yes. So visual art, which is something that I'm experimenting with at the moment through illustration and also animation too. So what I'm doing is working a lot of stuff out in my head and then finding people that have the manual dexterity to bring it together and to release it and stuff. So yes, that's kind of what I'm doing.
I love the way I've seen some of your work. It's kind of vibing on the kind of 1980s kind of video game thing, a bit like Flying Lotus. I think he had a lot of influence from
absolutely. Well, I'm not going to sort of give too much away.
No.
I was a child of the 80s and stuff, and with like the sort of 8-bit art and whatnot. I remember sitting in my playground at school with a Game Boy, like one of the first
classic
Game Boys, kind of completely disassociated from what was going on around me, just sort of like playing this thing. So it's kind of again, it's part of that the transition to and the journey to understand more about myself, going backwards to things to come back around to find myself where I am today. So on the back of that topic, when I saw the call out of Myth Refreshed, I was like, that's interesting. So what actually had happened was I had been not consciously looking for a band, and a guitarist had approached me on Instagram, and it turns out that he was the friend of an artist who came around to record at my studio about 15 years prior. So he pops up, and then he says to me, "Oh, there's this a friend of his mum's, and she's doing this call out for this thing." I was like, "Okay, let me have a look at it." And when I saw it, I was like, "Ching! This is the one." Because I've just recently finished an instrumental EP which examines like self-identity through traveling backwards within yourself.
Wow.
And connecting with sort of ancestry, and that type of thing.
So why is it important to do that? Why is it important to go back?
So I think because things have progressed in society globally so fast. It was coming to a head kind of like, around 2018 type of thing. And then once the recent stuff happened, it just fast tracked everything. So it blew the lid off of a lot of stuff. So a lot of people then became aware of intergenerational trauma and things like this. And I think it was incumbent upon all of us to be able to examine ourselves for the betterment of society and humanity.
Oh, you're giving me the tingles. You're giving me the ruddy tingles.
Oh, well, there you go, love, mate. But it's important, and I think that, for a long time I struggled with self-identity, being a mixed race man.
May I ask your heritage?
Yeah, sure. So my family's from Trinidad, also British, so I've got Norfolk there, and also Southeast Asia from India too. Within those kind of frameworks, there's also Nigerian, there's Irish,
You're everything.
Yeah. So
You're a rainbow.
I'm a rainbow. But you can imagine just growing up at a time before, like, you know, there was more of a conscious shift and stuff. You're in a culture where it's just like football, beer, football, beer, beer, football. You know, I mean, of course, there's more to it than that, but like, you know, that's
in West London. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy in West London. No.
Beer and football.
Beer and football, dear Lord. No.
Yeah, but there is something about actually being proud of it, not just having it as just something that's there, but actually shining it and showing the beauty.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think that it's, you know, as I discovered more about myself and my artistry and my kind of, I'm going to say, more rounded personality and character and stuff, you know, it's kind of like bouncing around these different places going, where do I sort of fit into stuff, and just like, you know, which I can't really find anywhere.
I don't fit anywhere.
I don't fit anywhere, damn it.
So you created your own space to fit in.
Well, yeah, because, you know, it's, as I say, like dissociation and stuff, that's, you know, I've always had that thing of escape from a kid and stuff through, like, you know, family, you know, it's just standard kind of stuff. Parents split up.
It's a drama. Life is a drama.
It just goes on and on and on. And that, you know, kind of triggered, because I always had a strong imagination and stuff. And, you know, much later on in life, I discovered that there's such a thing as like HSP, which is like highly sensitive person.
Okay.
You know, but it's not, as I discovered more, it's less to do with about kind of sensitivity and more like a biological thing where you are more perceptive and you can pick up bits and pieces. A lot of autistic people have that type of thing.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, I'm unwritten. It's fantastic. You know?
Yeah, it's nice to know that actually you don't need to feel like you're less of a person, but actually I've been gifted with this insight that gives me a different level of seeing things.
Which I think, you know, talks a lot, you know, it speaks in dreams and stuff, because you're absorbing so much information and, you know, this, that, and the other, and it starts to manifest like that. And, you know, it's a quest for me to understand myself, but also to understand where the music in me comes from too. And I think that links with ancestry going much further back, as I started to discover, because I'm also self-taught, and on a daily basis I've got another thing that just pops up.
Grace.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you delve into your heritage? I mean, for example, the Indian classical music tradition, and the Trinidadian kind of
calypso. Oh my goodness me!
Calypso.
Yes.
Do you have those influences in your music, or is it like West London?
Beer and football. No, it's the influences, as I become more aware of myself, they start to emerge with more strength. It's like they've just been sitting underneath the sort of the cultural structure that was sort of enforced upon me, you know, during that time of growing up and whatnot. And as years sort of pass by, everything starts to chip away and chip away and chip away. Because I never really understood it, because like the drums is one of my favorite instruments, one of my first instruments, and it's such just like a grounding type of thing for me. You know,
the drum.
Is
that the drum kit or like
drum? Just any sort of that to have that pulse and to have that beat and rhythm and stuff. And I started to think to myself, well, that probably goes back to more kind of like shamanistic type of things, because there's, you know, I'm from a family of healers and musicians, and, you know, that whole thing is there.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, well, where is this like? It's just been there. It's coming there, you know. And I think I've been trying to force the kind of like, I don't know how to say, capitalistic view of what a musician and artist should be, you know, trying to sort of force a thing which is limiting my expression as an artist. And so it's important for me to, as I said, with the chipping away, to rip the lid off and just to see where this stuff is coming from. And I can feel that it's older than me, you know, because of the time that I spent like over the last few years. A lot of it has been in sort of self-reflection and just feeling like where these things exist in my body, you know, which which is like I said, I am in transition, and it's a strange thing coming from like a sort of wanting to be a commercial sort of I don't know, artist, like a commercial songwriter or musician, and then realizing that that just didn't have enough weight for me, and just went looking further and further and further, and then just to find this thing that's going on. So yes, I listen to some Indian classical music during these last few years, which kind of got me. It triggers something. There's a different sort of level of beauty involved there. But then I was also listening to more shamanic drumming as well, and to see that sort of hypnotic and rhythmic pulse of things, it acts as like a massage for your, nervous system and stuff. So it's all this, all these things. Yeah, it's medicine, exactly. It's all these things connecting and whatnot. So I'm probably jumping ahead of myself, but you asked about.
Come on, give it to me, baby.
You asked about.
Let's not waste time. What did you bring? What magic thing did you bring?
This is my little trinket that I brought along with me. Okay. So I saw this. Would you like to?
Yes, please.
I saw this quite some years ago, but in fact, it was around the same sort of time that I started to work my way through this, new sort of path thing. And it's one of the things I picked up along the way that kept calling to me to kind of keep going back further, and every time I see it, it connects me to something inside myself that is yet to be kind of, prodded into existence.
That untapped.
Yeah.
Beauty.
And it's deep, and I think it's, as you said, like going back and healing past wounds and stuff, as I've done my own inner work and whatnot, through my own sort of traumas and things like that. That's when like these new elements of expression, or whatever it is, like my true self, let's say, start to poke through.
Wow, so you're saying actually looking at these pools of wounds has actually been the source of creation. Like, so,
that's it.
Wow, it's no crazy. So it seems like a really mad thing to go and kind of unpick everything, but actually...
I mean, like, because my process was deep, so like I was very much isolated before the sort of pandemic and stuff like that, just sort of by choice, Then the pandemic came along, and I was like, I feel really at home in it. It was very strange. I didn't miss anything like that.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, bring on the next one. No, no, really don't. But it kind of allowed me an almost like guilt-free space. See, that again, that's something that I'm kind of like working through too. A space where I can actually just breathe and just sit down and not feel the pressures from whatever it is. It's kind of telling you have to do this and you should be here. You must be doing this and da 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 da. So it was during that time that I looked at the various aspects of my life and the things that I did and things that were done to me or things that I'd experienced and whatnot. And it was all just shedding skin like the whole time, and experienced a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of imagery that kept popping towards me, and in fact, most of them turn out to be something to do with transformation. So, like for example, I had this kind of crazy track called Be Crow. It's you see there's like a costume and stuff like in an animated video, and the crow like in different cultures, it's a symbol of transformation. It's not like this kind of medieval like picking up bones and things like that, and I was like, wow, that's quite interesting, and more recently, there's like the color silver starts coming to me quite a lot, and again, that's another sort of aspect of sort of transformation.
So, are these elements that we're going to see on March the 18th?
Well, yeah, the whole concept of the night rings true for me, and so I have some various ideas for things, but I think I want to keep it relatively simple. And just expressing things. So I've got the EP that I released first track on there is just an instrumental piano piece. It's a bit jazzy and stuff, and it feels possibly right for it to be played at this event because it was like the initial starting point of a new sort of.
Been played on Soho Radio, Phoenix FM, Hope Radio Birmingham, BBC Lincolnshire.
Yeah,
You've been collaborating with producer Guy Chambers. You've been doing the vocals for Gary Rafferty's album Rest in Blue. What can we expect from you this year?
This year is really about live performance for myself, because it's finding the right people to perform with too that can understand what I'm trying to do, because I'm quite like a fierce type of artist and stuff.
It's important though, isn't it?
It is
collaborate
important
with the right people.
Yeah. And I'm just itching to play. I've amassed all this kind of energy and stuff, and it's just patiently sitting there waiting to be released. And I've got, well, I had intentions for a new album too. And as I looked at that, I was like, wow, it's 13 tracks that I wanted to work on.
Wow.
And I was like, this might be, because I've been releasing music consistently since 2020. In fact, prior to that, I released an album in 2018 called Alchemy, funny enough. And that kind of triggered off a whole process. And I shifted from the space I was after Alchemy, because I was going under my name, which was Seb Stone, and I switched over to Kaysien, which is it's more of like a tribute to my ancestors and my family and things like that. It's an iteration of my family name on my mum's side, which is Kisoon. So there's some amazing people in my family.
I believe you. I mean, you were talking about healers. And...
tons of crazy people. So live performance and just sort of observing myself in this world, which has changed so much.
Well, we are so excited to see what you have
Thank you.
to offer as a gift to the universe and to the Myth Refreshed Lubbers on March the 18th. Thank you so much for joining us. You are a blessing.
Hey! Aren't we all?